Who's the fascist? While Trump seeks less government power, it's Biden who covets authoritative rule. I mean, just all you have to do is just look at the policies. It's so simple. I don't know how leftists can call us fascists when they are the ones that's taking away people's rights. Biden is the one that's saying, "Hey, take this jab or else lose your job. You can't work for the government. Wear this mask or else." And all these other authoritarian things that they're doing. Again, classic projection. Everything they call you is what they really are. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. And there's also a link to my Twitter where I'm very active on now, and my Instagram where I'm very, very active on now. Instagram, what I'm doing over there, I'm doing some different stuff. I'm having articles, I'm having screenshots of important articles of the day, and then I have like a little synopsis. It'll take about 30 seconds to a minute to read. And you'll be very, very informed from that. This is for people that don't want to sit and read hundreds of articles a day, and they don't want to spend the time to read an entire article, because some of these articles can be very, very long. But you want to be informed, so I do that for you. I break these little article downs into the hot points of the article, so you can be informed. So check that out. I think that's going to be really, really, really good for people that want to be informed on what's going on. Is JJ the psychologist? I'm sorry, psychologist. I'm not a psychologist. JJ the psychotherapist. So check that out on Instagram. All right, let's talk about this news. As embattled Joe Biden, his White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who makes Jen Psaki looks like Dana Perino, and even Democrat National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison continue to triple down on the dictatorial president's attack on Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans as, quote, semi-fascists. It's time to stop the tape and ask ourselves a salient question. Who exactly is the fascist here? I mean, this is hilarious to me. And let's drop the semi part. Let's drop the semi part, Joe. We know fascists. It's what you really think. Semi was included in the slur by Biden handlers in a lame effort to make his outrageous attack against former president of the United States and half of America appear less bad. That's why they got the semi. Like atheists who call themselves agnostics, so they don't have to admit they're atheists. Yeah, that. I see that a lot when I ask people, "Are you an atheist?" No, no, I'm just agnostic. No, no. You firmly do not believe there is a God, so that makes you an atheist. Agnostic mean they just don't know, but they like to feign like they're agnostics. Anyway, back to that salient question. The left and its liberal media sock puppets had told us ad nauseum for 6 years or more that Donald Trump and his loyalists are a threat to democracy. We heard it time and time again. And by democracy, Democrats mean Democrat rule with zero interference from those whom they disagree. Just one problem. As a piece that came out Sunday in Red State, titled "Thank God the U.S. is not a democracy." The Constitution of the United States established a constitutional republic, not a democracy, on purpose with specific safeguards. And I talk about that all the time. We are not a democracy. If we were a democracy, that means 51% can vote to eat. If 51% can vote to kill 49% of the people if they want to. That's democracy. But the Constitution is put in place to protect your rights, so that does not happen. That's what makes. And then we're a republic because we put in representatives that create laws that we want. So that's why we consider a constitutional republic, not a democracy. A constitutional republic is a type of government in which where there is Democrat voting, but individual power is limited by the existence of a constitution that protects certain rights. In a constitutional republic, people elect representatives, and those people generally vote to make decisions or laws. The existence of a constitution makes it impossible for the representatives to create laws that violate people's rights in certain areas. So that's the distinction there. It's incumbent on conservatives to continue to drive home this foundational point at every opportunity, as Biden and the Democrats not only obscenely continue to accuse Trump and MAGA Republicans of harboring fascist goals, it is the Democrat Party itself that covers authoritative rule, a one-party state, as it were, with Democrats in charge and the rest of us in strict obedience to their top-down rule. And that's a great that's a great point too. We every time they say democracy, we have to put in the, no, we're not a democracy. Every time they say the word democracy, no, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. That's why I correct them at every point. Every time I go over these articles and they say we're democracy or a threat to democracy, I always say we're not a democracy. Veteran journalist Britt Hume on Monday highlighted a Wall Street Journal op-ed titled "Biden's Speech Had It All Backwards," in which American essayist and writer Lance Morrow convincingly argued that, quote, Biden's Democrats seek a one-party state, while Trump followers want freedom from government power. Hume, being Hume, he perfectly used Biden's own words from the Darth Brandon speech to highlight Morrow's own opinion piece. He says, Mr. Trump and his followers, believe it or not, are essentially anti-fascist. They want the state to stand aside to impose the least possible interference and allow market forces and in entrepreneurial energies to work. I mean, it's common sense. If you know anything about anything that Trump been saying and the policies he's been doing, is to restrict governmental power. While if you look at everything that Biden is doing, he's doing everything to give government more power, bigger government, more money, more taxes. That's why he hired 87,000 IRS agents to come after the money to give the state more power. But as Morrow correctly observed, Joe got it all backwards. And I can't believe Britt Hume actually said that. I'm very, very surprised. But setting aside Biden's steadily declining state of mental acuity, he's proved in a single statement what Republicans have long understood about Democrats. The left views government control, the more better, over Americans and their lives as a magic elixir for all that ails us, and the entrepreneurialism and free market as the evil root of American problems. But if it wasn't for the free market, if it wasn't for capitalism, America wouldn't be the richest country ever. We wouldn't have some of the richest poor people on the planet if it wasn't for capitalism, if it wasn't for entrepreneurialism, if it wasn't for the free market. So I don't know how they can hate this stuff. Morrow's takes, somewhat surprising given most of his writing has been for Time magazine, was clear from his opening sentence, quote, the Democrats have the fascist business wrong. Donald Trump isn't a fascist or even a semi-fascist. In Biden's term, Mr. Trump is an opportunist. Morrow then turned up the beat. If there are fascists in America these days, they are apt to be found among the tribes of the left. And I agree, the left is a cult because they don't even want to listen to your side. They don't even want to listen to your points. They want to silence you. They do everything to silence you. It's their way or the highway. But they are Mr. Biden and his people, including the lion's share of the media, whose opinions have since January 6, 2021, hardened into absolute faith that any party or political belief system except their own is illegitimate, impermissible, inhumane, monstrous, and a nice touch, a threat to democracy. The evolution of their overprivileged emotions, their sentimentality gone fanatic, has led them in 2022 to embrace Mussolini's formula. All within the state, nothing outside of the state, nothing against the state or against the party. I love that. I love that. The state and the Democratic Party must speak and act as one, suppressing all dissent. And we see that on every single platform. We see how President Biden went to Facebook and was like, hey, don't censor this type of material. And more stuff is coming out for that. I hope people sue over that. America must conform to the orthodoxy, to the Chinese finger traps of diversity or else, and open borders, and rejoice in mandatory drag shows and all such theater of gender. Meantime, their man in the White House invokes emergency powers to forgive student debt, and their thinkers wonder whether the Constitution and the separation of powers are all they're cracked up to be. It's crazy. Outstanding writing, making an outstanding case. So if Trump and MAGA aren't fascists, what are they? Let's go to Morrow for his surprising answer. I mean, this is a great piece. I can't believe he wrote this. Mr. Trump and his followers, believe it or not, are essentially anti-fascist. They want the state to stand aside to impose. Hold on one second. My phone has seemed to fallen asleep. There we go. Where was set aside at least possible interference and allow market forces and entrepreneurial energies to work. Freedom isn't fascism. And that's a great point. Freedom isn't fascism. Mr. Biden and his vast tribe are essentially enemies of freedom, although most of them haven't thought the matter through. And that's true. They don't know. They just regurgitating what the mainstream media and what Biden is saying. Freedom, the Central American value, isn't on their minds. They desire maximum, that is, total state or party control of all aspects of American life, including what people say and think. 74 years after George Orwell wrote 1984, such control by way of surveillance cameras, social media companies, and the Internal Revenue Service, now to be shockingly augmented by 87,000 new employees, is entirely feasible. The left yearns for power and authoritarian order. It is false bargain. Freedom is forfeit. Morrow, of course, was correct, and the fascistic behavior of Biden and the Democrats should surprise no one. The Democrat Party fancies itself as the party of inclusion and tolerance, while in reality, Democrats are exclusive of everyone and everything that exists outside of their narrative, and intolerant of those who disapprove of their narrative. The bottom line: one need look no further than the left's racist treatment of Clarence Thomas. It's sickening. And Tim Scott or any other black conservative for proof. Like, I've never been called coon so many times except for when I'm on these leftist platforms. Those are the ones that call me names and stuff like that. Not the people on the right. So who are the real racists here? When a white person called a black person coon, what is that? Or the same party that claims to be the party of children voted overwhelmingly in June to support in support of on-demand abortion until birth, and some after birth. If you look at what happened in Virginia a few years ago, we seen what happened with that. Remember when the governor there at that time, his name escapes me for now, but he said when we'll make them comfortable, and then the doctor and the mother can make the decision. So they believe in after-birth abortion in some states. But they are also the party of women, yet makes silly claims about not being able to define women because they aren't biologists, while supporting genetic males kicking the hell out of genetic females in women's sports. The list is long, it is disgusting, and it is hypocritical as hell. So hey, when Joe Biden and the Democrats call Donald Trump a MAGA semi-fascist, takes one to know one, Joe. Or, in this case, Biden projecting on his enemies his own political objectives. But let me know what you think about all this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out democrapublics.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.